this video, I'm going to be speaking to you about semen retention, why women can't resist you. The bottom line is, when you go on NoFap, when you go on retention, women can't resist you because you're giving them two specific things in terms of hot and cold. The thing is, you're raising yourself up. You're raising yourself up to be someone who is someone who is non-needy, in a sense where the bottom line is, when you go on something like NoFap, when you go on something like these things, when you explicit, you have inner joy, you're having inner fun, you're having fun with yourself. And because you're having fun with yourself, you don't necessarily need somebody. And because you don't necessarily need somebody, this is when you attract everything, because you're having fun with yourself. The bottom line is, in terms of having fun, what I mean by that is when you're just doing your normal activities, you have way more present energy, meaning you can think way more deep. You have a deeper sense of thinking. You know, your brain activity is very high, and this is what makes it fun, because you can really think. You know, you can really think your way into like having fun in terms of just like how you think. You're just very occupied with, yourself. You're very satisfied with how you're going about your life. You're very focused, and the number one reason is focus. You're just very focused in terms of your life, and because you're focused, in your life and everything like that, you just more likely are going to have fun by yourself. You don't really necessarily need a lot of outside things to make you feel fun, to feel like you're having fun, because your dopamine is now regulated. See, the bottom line is, and the big problem with something like PMO, especially for watching explicit material a lot of times, because I know specific people, who are watching this specifically, and you could tell that their spirit is dead, meaning that enthusiasm. You know how you can, certain people who just have these very legitimate personalities where they're very vocal, they have high charisma, they're just very present. They're just talking about what they want to talk about, like there's no hesitation with them. This is what I'm speaking about. When you decide to go on PMO, watch explicit material consistently, FAP 24/7, your spirit dies with it. Like you guys don't think this is that big of a deal, but you're actually, like, you start to realize that your spirit is just dead, meaning your enthusiasm gone, your motivation gone, your discipline gone, your purpose goes along with it. There's a lot of different things in the spiritual realm that you're literally giving up when you decide to FAP 24/7. You don't think it's momentary pleasure. I think it's just something that you're just doing just for fun. Yeah, you're gonna feel that urge. You're feeling that sensation. You're trying to hit that climax. But what you don't realize, a lot of things internally get destroyed by doing this. You're killing your spirit, because that NoFap, that semen fluid thing with a lot of nutrients, vitamins, minerals, and things like that, the thing that pretty much makes you more present, and reset your dopamine levels, so you can not always be overstimulated. So even normal things is like, you're having fun doing normal things. This dies along with it when you consistently do this. And because this is dying along with it, this is why you come across, and I know specific people who do this regularly, and they have no apology. They don't have any apology to do this, and you could tell. And this is why they're lacking in social interactions, especially when it comes to women. You don't think these two correlate, but it really does. See, the thing about women, they're very storytell oriented, meaning they're really interested in a guy's point of view, his perspective, his thoughts, his beliefs, his perspective, things about certain specific things. And the thing is, you can give that to them when you have a lot of brain activity going on in your world, But like I said, when you're consistently just fapping this dopamine, this seminal fluid away, you're just consistently just fapping away, you can't tell somebody about your perspective, because you have nothing going on inside you. You don't realize this, but your spirit is literally dying when you decide to fap regularly. Because I know specific people who fap regularly. You could tell that their spirit is dead. They have no enthusiasm. Their voice is mundane, dry. They don't really have any real purpose. You call them up 6 months, there's nothing going on. There's literally nothing new that is, how you talk to some people, it's been like 6 months, so you haven't talked to them in a while, and then maybe they have something new, interesting that they're doing, that they set out to do. people who are consistently doing PMO, they have nothing new going on, and because they have nothing new going on, they come across as bland and boring. They have no personality. Because they have no personality, to some of these women, they come across as boring, and because they're boring, she's not really gonna like you that much. She's gonna think, oh, just another guy. What can he can't really offer me anything, any perspectives, any new insights, anything like that. He can't really do anything like that, so they're gonna go on to the next person who can. That's what you have to realize. So the bottom line is, when you go on NoFap, when you go on retention for a period of time, you just have, there's more enthusiasm about your life. You're more determined, you're more purposeful, you're more masculine, you're more intentional, you're just more mission focused, critically mission focused. And because of this is why I come across as someone who is interesting. This is why they can't resist you. The bottom line is, you have to make yourself up to become this person. You know, you have to make yourself come up to become a character, like a person that is highly sought after. And once you're able to do this, you're more likely going to get a congregation. You're going to get more followers. You're going to get more people to like you, because you have something to say that people can relate with. Exactly what it is. Like I said, if you're in your free time, if you're just blanding, fapping away, like yada yada yada, all of that enthusiasm, all of that vigor that you used to have, it slowly dissipates, and you're becoming an NPC. You have no charisma. You're bland. You can't kid around. Because that the enablement for you to do something, to make you do something, to make you feel like, you know, you're at ease, it literally dies. You're literally destroying your charisma every time you decide to fap. Because I know specific people who are fapping regularly, and they just have there's no enthusiasm about them. There's no enthusiasm about them. They're very dry, mundane. They can't offer new perspectives. They can't put themselves in someone else's shoes. It's very hard for them to think critically. It's very hard for them to go in their brain and really be strategic about, you know, their life and shit like that, and things like that. This is what's happening. So the bottom line is, you know, when you go on NoFap, when you're going Semen retention, they can't resist you, because you actually have okay with yourself. And because you're okay with yourself, because you haven't done anything to make yourself not okay with yourself, you're actually just going to come across way more attractive. This makes sense. Like, you know, you're very in tune with yourself. You know, you have nothing to hide. You're very okay with yourself, and because you're okay with yourself, people are gonna be attracted to you, because they see someone who can lead them. This is what all of it really comes down to. It has more to do with inner game and how you feel about yourself than anything. This is pretty much how, you know, you can get attraction. I mean, there's no apology. All this high value, yada yada, all these, sure, you know, you want to look on the outside, on the exterior, you want to come across as maybe someone who is high value, but when it comes down to it, it really comes down to internal high value. Who are you on the inside? How okay with yourself on the inside? Who are you on the inside? If you're using your free time just to, you know, fap away, watch, you know, girls on the internet, things like that, you're telling yourself that you're not someone that someone should follow. Because of these things, no one's gonna follow you. You're giving off subconscious suggestions that you're really not that confident, you're really not that guy. And because of this is why you tend to have a stalemate when it comes to your attraction life. So the reason why they can't resist you when you go on something like NoFap is because you're very okay with yourself internally, and you're broadcasting that out based off your behaviors. It really comes down to behaviors. Like, you don't have to, you guys don't realize this, but women are very subtle creatures. They can tell very, you know, small things. So you yourself, you have to use it to your advantage. You know, it really comes down to body language, your vocal tonality, your eye contact, what you think of yourself. I know specific people who are always thinking that someone's out to get them. They're always in this headspace where someone does the same thing can happen to the next same person, that because that different person has a different belief, or he thinks of it that something happened to him differently, then it's gonna come across to him as is different. It's basically what you think of it. If someone says the same exact thing to you that they say to the next person, and you perceive it in a way that's negative, then you're going to come across as you're going to have negative body language, and people aren't going to be attracted to you. But you only have to think, the bottom line is, you have to, regardless of what people are thinking about, you always have to think in the highest good, that they're doing these specific things because they see you as a high individual, they see you as a high noteworthy individual. If you don't believe that, you have to start convince yourself that's the truth based off what you do with yourself. You know, if you're very proud of yourself, you know, you're proud in every area of your life, then of course you're going to be confident. You built the life that you always dreamed of. This is where confidence comes from. But if you never go out of the box, you never do anything out of the ordinary, you never really look at yourself and really start to think what you can do, you know, to increase how much you like your life, then of course you're never going to be confident, because what do you have to be confident about? All of these things, when I'm talking about why they can't resist you, it's not necessarily just because you're on retention. It's what comes with it. It's your behaviors that come with it. It's how you think of yourself that comes with it. This is what they're missing. This is what they fail to tell you. It's your behaviors, how you think of yourself when you are on something like NoFap. This is what comes across as attractive, and how you also take care of yourself physically. This is what comes across as attractive, and this is literally all it is to it, you know? And the more okay with yourself, the more other people are going to be okay with yourself too. This is the bottom line. Is so anybody who tells you that, you know, NoFap is BS, just fap away, doesn't matter, you can still get woman attraction by fapping regularly, stuff like that, maybe. But the bottom line is, what they fail to tell you is the subtle differences that you start to, subtle behaviors that you start to have when you go on something like NoFap. These come across in a woman's eyes, and the woman gaze holds way more weight than you actually think it is. And this is pretty much the secret. It's about what you think of yourself, and then because of you think yourself in a certain way, you act like this. This is how other people pick it up as well too, and then they're obviously subconsciously going to like you. So this is really comes down to it. Anybody who's telling you that it's just about your fit, you know, they don't understand how woman attraction actually is. It's about the people, women. You cannot literally, there's always these street interviews, and the guys are always asking, you know, so what makes you attracted to a man and stuff like that. And then they're always talking about, notice how they say certain specific words like vibes, you know, confidence, personality. You guys think this is just some sort of thing that they're just saying, but this is literally how they pick their mate based off these specific things. Now, obviously, there's a certain amount of provisioning that comes across, maybe because, you know, women are also very stable oriented. There's also a very certain amount of provisioning that comes across. In terms of core attraction, it does come across based off who you are and how you act. Thank you.